What's up, everybody? Good morning. Hope you all had a happy Thanksgiving. I am a little sick, as you can probably tell. So, yeah, sorry about no video on Wednesday. But I figured I'd try to get something out to you guys today. Probably make it relatively quick, because talking is very painful. First, quick update on Nasdaq. I think I've told you guys I'm expecting higher. I'm expecting 16.5 and then, probably eventually above 18. Looking for a way to hop in on this leg here. It's getting a little choppy recently, even on the daily here. But price still bullish, I think. I was talking the other day in the Discord about on this trade here that I made short on this manipulation leg up here. Took a partial in here, got stopped out on the rest, but I'm kind of still expecting this to go lower. Actually hopped back in the other day on this this retrace into this 15-minute fair value gap. Ended up closing it for a small profit because the session ended and I didn't feel like holding over Thanksgiving. But yeah, I might actually consider getting back in this now. Have to think about this. But yeah, I think we're coming. I think we're coming for these lows here. I think on the 4-hour we have a nice. Got a nice demand zone here. So I think we at least mitigate the middle of this, which is about 15,889. This is the session low from New York a few days ago. And then we got a fair value gap in here. So this makes sense to me as a draw on liquidity right now. So I would be looking for a long from this zone based on the daily bias. I think this should probably hold. Like, you can see this entire leg up, all of these gaps, all of these lows, they're just all completely untested, and it's pretty common to see that until you get to the 2.5. It's a little different here because we're just going to be going into price discovery. It's not like we're going to have some levels on the left to take, so I'm going to keep an eye out. But I do think this area should hold for a long. And I think we definitely want to at least target all-time high. So depending on the risk-reward setup on the trade, I might take a bunch off at the high, but probably leave a runner for up here because I do think that's where we're going. I don't like this song. Fan of that either. What are we doing here? Alright, that's pretty chill. Actually, don't know if you guys could even hear the music. Hopefully you can. Sounded a little dull without it. Also not sure the levels are right, but yeah, let me know in the chat if it sounds terrible. Anyway, that's the plan on stocks. Coinbase, I don't know, we're long from a lot lower. I know that's super helpful to you guys. Continue to be long. I don't really know where I would enter this at the moment, to be honest, because I think this is going to be a tough zone to break through here from 112 to 134 or so. Definitely want to see the daily close above this level as a confirmation. Definitely want to see the weekly close above this level. So when you see the weekly, the high time frame close above, you know, you've got that confirmation that you've put in a higher high, and then you can start looking for some sort of setup on some sort of retrace down into here maybe and higher. But I don't like, I'm not a breakout trader. I don't like longing breakouts. I like for, you know, to long setups that, you know, that wreck the breakout people generally. But if that's your thing, I mean, yeah, certainly looks like we could have a breakout on our hands here. And yeah, you can see on the 4 hour, all of the basically all the liquidity from this leg is intact, right? There's been no lows ran. All the order blocks have not really been tapped into. Get some gaps down here. So there will definitely be a spot, I think, on the way back down to observe some sort of liquidity grab into like some sort of demand zone of interest. And if I spot that for you guys, we'll definitely shout it out. You know, what happened here in retrospect was sort of what we surmised in our Twitter post from a long time ago, which is that, you know, basically at a high level you had the inverted head and shoulders, and then you had a neck form around here, which is basically the yearly mid-range, so very high time frame key range level. So we broke through that, and then the yearly mid-range was basically your entry points here. And then you even got some taps of this it's on the monthly, I think. Yeah. So you had like a monthly. Sorry, this is a complete disaster. You had this monthly demand here. Maybe this even looks clearer as a 2 month. No, it doesn't. Stocks look a little weird because you got the gaps. You got the gaps in them. Yeah. You know, just call it a monthly. So depending on whether you draw your order block here or here, I mean, whatever. The point is, this was sort of the last down move, the last high time frame demand before we took off. And, you know, I don't know if I would have gotten this entry, to be honest, because we just sort of tapped the very top of the zone. Normally you're looking for something a little bit lower, but yeah, sometimes strong moves, they don't give that to you. So yeah, congrats to everybody who's in this. I think this is going, you know, all-time highs and beyond. I love this as a play. I wish I owned even more than I did. We've also been long Riot calls. Riot's basically just high beta Bitcoin. Goes way up when Bitcoin goes up, and it gets completely nuked when Bitcoin goes down. So it hasn't been a useful like multi-cycle hold, but an interesting way to play price in the short run. Like you can see last cycle from top to bottom, you know, Riot did 22,000%. So it's a pretty good multiple from the bottom, a lot more than you got on Bitcoin. And then you also got to eat a 97% on the way down or so, which is some altcoin stuff right there. But yeah, here on the monthly, this is supply here. So tapped into that. But there's a bullish sign here that you can kind of pick out because, you know, we did actually, did we? I guess if you draw the line from here, yeah. Whenever your bias fails, just draw more lines. Basically closed right at the 50%, the consequent encroachment. So generally a bullish sign when you kind of pull into these higher time frame supply zones and you have a close very high up in them, you know, ideally over the 50%. Even if you do get a retrace, it's kind of like a sign that you're probably going to continue higher, take out these highs, which is what I think is happening here. You can see that we had a very tiny fair value gap here on the monthly. This was a pretty great entry. I didn't get exactly off of this entry, but I was using the monthly and the idea that we'd be bouncing off of this level to get an entry on the lower time frame. Most of my entries for Riot came around here, I believe. Yeah, so I was actually calling this one live, I think, in my friend tech chat, because I was feeling pretty good about this one. So yeah, I had this monthly fair value gap is context, and then, you know, got a shift to the upside here, and then on the retrace I went in heavy, another shift, and then on the retrace went in heavy again here. So I got about 90% of the position off March $15 calls, which I'm feeling pretty good about right now. I think you know, generally speaking, this whole structure here is gonna probably act as resistance initially. This is like a high time frame BPR sort of balanced price range. You get a sharp move up, sharp move down. This zone here tends to be rebalanced, and then you kind of go. But we're looking good after that, because this move up here already balanced out this fair value gap / BPR from over here. So once we I might take another entry off this, like if we get something like this, because after that I think like this high and this high should go no problem. I don't see any other resistance on those areas. And then yeah, this whole structure here is a similar thing. You know, your sharp move up, sharp move down. Like to look at like the 50% or so of those levels as potential targets. So that makes sense to me, like $35 or so. I'd be very happy if we get $35. $15 call is going to do really well. At $35, it'll probably be a 20 to 40x or so, depending on how quickly we get there. But I do see this gap here. I'm sorry, guys. Oh man, yeah, I do not feel well. Yeah, this gap here is going to be another early target. Yeah, kind of lines up with the 30% level too, which is another area you get a bounce off of initially. So yeah, like $30 or so. But yeah, it looks really good to me. Like I said, I think if you want to hop on board this, I don't know, I guess you could just buy a little now, because we're still pretty good there. Maybe you can squint and see a little cup and handle forming here. So maybe breakout, retest, go, something like that. But I think I've said this before. Like when I want to be in a trade, I almost always put on some small percentage of the trade immediately, even if price doesn't look super great, because sometimes it just runs away without you and you feel terrible. So if you buy a little bit but it keeps going, it sucks you didn't get more, but you were never in drawdown and you're making money, so you're feeling pretty good. Putting a little money in also makes you pay attention to it, which is important, because like I personally forget anything that my money is not in, and many things that my money is in. So definitely would recommend that. What else here? Oh yeah, let's talk about crypto. So one thing I've actually been telling myself I need to pay more attention to now is the Ethereum CME futures, because I think this market is going to have a stronger and stronger pull on price. Especially in like a maybe post-Binance world, or a world where there's, a lot of volume coming through ETFs. And, I think we've already started seeing some of that shift. So it's important to observe things like here was something I drew out this summer, right? This is a daily CME gap, and you can see that after we took this high, we retraced all the way down, and ultimately what stopped us was the CME gap, and then we just exploded upwards from there. So a pretty key thing to have on your chart. But yeah, as for right now, I mean, on the Ethereum spot pair, we have not taken this high yet. We have not taken this 2141 high. But on futures we have. And I didn't notice this because I was not paying attention to futures until like this morning, when I realized I need to, pull my head out of my butt and pay attention. We actually ran that high last week on the futures contract, and then I'm going to be really interested to see where we close the daily here, because I think closing this as a swing fail, I don't know if that necessarily means we're going to break down, but it's a good chance we retrace into demand. Maybe this order block here could be an interesting spot to get long. Futures contract's a little weird too, because you don't have the order block here that you have on spot. You can see on spot there's a very obvious order block here, and I don't know, I've been like sort of cautious because I feel like price really wanted to test this zone before going higher, but the fact that it doesn't even exist on the futures is something I'm trying to gather at the moment. Like, you don't have it's kind of there on the 12-hour, I suppose. Here's your down candle. So, yeah, oddly enough, on futures, it does look like we did tap into this zone a little bit more. And you've definitely got a bullish market structure shift here. You got like a bullish flip, because then you've got boom. So even if this comes back down here, this is probably a good entry. Yeah, you can see the higher time frame structure there: higher low, lower low. No, excuse me, lower high, lower low, lower high, higher low, higher high. So we got a shift out there. So Ethereum looks pretty good to me. I was definitely concerned on the spot pair. Like, even the other day when people were getting a little getting pretty excited, I was just watching us bump into this zone, the supply here, and until we kind of closed above that, I wasn't exactly ready to put on the leverage or anything, especially because we had, it's a little easier to see on the hourly. I think kind of been like we've been kind of in bullish daily, weekly structure, and sort of bearish hourly structure. So higher time frame bias pulling us higher, lower time frame bias kind of pulling us lower in the meantime. I think I said I wasn't taking shorts on anything because I wanted to be trading with the higher time frame bias, but yeah, like on the hourly, you definitely had a shift here, and we've just been putting in lower lows and lower highs, like even on this move here, and then this is the first indication that maybe we had a shift, and then finally this morning we actually got a close We actually got to close above this high. So as of this morning, I feel better about Ethereum. And I think looking at the futures contract, it is definitely possible we could just like rip up from here. I don't see a setup to get long from here. Like I said, I'm already long spot from lower, so I'm mostly looking for opportunities to like hedge out risk, ideally on other coins if they come up. But otherwise, I'm trying to ride this wave, you know. But I will take a long if I get a good spot. I think a good spot would be down in here. Here, let me draw this out. So this is a great higher time frame zone because you have a 12-hour, possibly even a daily. What does this look like on the daily? See, on the 12-hour, you've got a fair value gap overlapping with an order block. These are really nice setups. And again, the context is that, you know, your higher time frame bias is pretty bullish. Your weekly is obviously bullish. You know, your daily structure is bullish because we shifted when we broke this high. So really anything down here is like an add. I think if we break this level, you know, there's a good chance we end up kind of trading back into this zone here. Hasn't really been tapped into. It's the type of thing that might scare a lot of people, like if we do that. But in reality, that's still bullish structure, and that's like your generational entry type stuff if you get it. So it's kind of hard for me to shove too much more there, but you know, I might throw some ETH in a maker vault and lever a little bit of it up if we get those prices again, because the higher time frame is still very strong. This is still mega bullish. Yeah, and like ETH here on spot, you know, we're just getting ready to just flip this generational kind of support level there, like however you want to draw that line. And that's going to make the higher time frame chart look super interesting. You know, you're just going to be able to squint and say, okay, this entire move is just like a giant deviation under this range, and then you can start drawing all sorts of large numbers past 10K and everything. It looks really pretty. So yeah, I love ETH here. I love how hated it's been the last few weeks. Everybody's hopping into the hot new alts and everything, and it's a good time to be accumulating it, methinks. Now, alts do not all look bad, but in fact, some of them look quite good. I mean, you've got your AI alts like Render. You know, God help you if you don't have any AI alts this cycle. Might be max pain for you. This thing still looks like it's just going up only. DYDX has been a bit of a shit show. I've had some swing trades on this. I remember actually in the last video I talked about longing this. So I'll just give you a recap of what I did there. That was a pretty simple trade. I started out on my higher time frame chart. There's your protected low, and then you see 12-hour sweep. You know, 12-hour sweep, daily sweep, weekly sweep. I don't know, like a higher time frame sweep of a critical kind of protected level like this. That's a spot where I like to look for longs. If you guys follow like Trader Main, right? Like I think it's like the only freaking setup he uses, but it's a good setup. It's a, you know, it's a concept that comes from ICT, which I know is where he's got his background and where I've got my background. You know, it's kind of this power of three thing: accumulation, manipulation, distribution. So if you kind of look at what happened here, this is the setup I like to see. So you got a consolidation, a potential accumulation, right? It's sitting above a high time frame level. What you want to see for the trigger is a sharp move into the level and a reversal, right? That's manipulation. So when I saw this, and again, I did call this out live to you guys, so this isn't hindsight. You know, saw this potential accumulation, and then you got your manipulation here. You could call this a sharp turn. I've heard people call it that. Whatever you want to call it, doesn't really matter. But you can see what happens to price. Price nukes, runs the level, and then breaks the range structure to the upside. So then like an aggressive entry would be just getting in on this wick, because often these wicks, so this is a 4-hour wick, like often these wicks get retested, and you can see you did get a retest there. So you could look on the lower time frame for a bullish structure on that wick, a bullish shift rather. And that was pretty hard to catch, right? You can see that even though we tapped it, like we just sort of went like just whoop. So you didn't really get a nice nice entry there, unless you went down the 1 minute. There's probably something on the 1 minute. And again, trading the 1 minute only works if you are, you know, you're looking for something that already aligns with like a higher time frame bias. Yeah. So if you're on the 1 minute, you can kind of see an early shift here. Still kind of a rough entry. I took a small entry just on the, like I had some limit orders on like the 50% of this wick, I think. So I do this sometimes with altcoins just because they move so fast and nasty. You often don't get the clean entries that you can get on Nasdaq and such. But yeah, I think I just fibbed out this this wick here. And this is a small position size. This is probably like 20% of the size I wanted. So I just placed some limit orders there. You can see on the 5 minute, it lines up pretty nicely with this block here. So basically that zone held, you know, for the most part on the retest. So I got in a little bit there, but then we got a market structure shift here, like another break of the high, and then I decided to get in on a retest of this area here. So Basically saw fair value gap overlapping with that, placed limit order right at the entry to that. That ended up being a really good entry. Actually went below the entry one more time, but got filled, got a nice fill there. And then I wasn't trying to like take this to new all-time highs. Like my main idea was that, okay, where is price going to hit on this one leg? Well, you've got a, you got a 4-hour fair value gap here that we sort of retested, but I thought we were going to test that again, and I thought there was a good chance that we ran this high. So I basically took entry down here, target above this high, basically like a couple pips above that high. Sold like 80% there, left a runner. I actually got rid of the rest of it somewhere on this dump just because I wasn't liking how the market moved. It ended up going higher, but it's all right. It's still a pretty good trade. And the reason you don't want to just run this all the way back to all-time highs is like you have to assume that this zone here is going to, provide a bunch of resistance on the way back up. So like I wasn't expecting it to just go straight through, right? Even if you are bullish, you frequently get like a rejection off and then something higher like that. So you get another entry to get long here, but it just depends on the time frame you're trading, right? Like this is basically like almost like a day trade. But if you're taking this position on as like a weekly swing or something, then you might be happy to get in just down here. Like this is like a pretty good level on the daily. That's just, it's just buying, a retest of a higher low, and very possible this just continues higher there. And you have like a smaller position size than if you're trading like massive leverage because you're trying to capture a small move. And you might be happy to hold spot there. I would feel better buying spot down in here. I already own a little bit of DYDX, not like a huge position, but a little bag. But there's just so many good opportunities in alts that I'm trying not to get overly attached to, one coin and fall in love with it. So just kind of take the W where you can and move on. Another coin I called out my friend tech that made me look like a genius was Blur. So I didn't know about like Blast or anything like that. I just was making this trade on the base of on the basis of price action. Obviously, there's been a bit of a shift in the market here, right? We're just huge leg up off the bottom. Where do you get in? Well, like this was just like a very blatant sort of like demand zone here. This is daily order block. So yeah, I just said, hey guys, I'm buying my spot position down here. I didn't buy all of it. Like I've been planning to, like a really volatile coin like this, you don't want to just like kind of YOLO in at one level unless it's like a really, really, really good level, and I didn't necessarily feel that way. So I probably bought like 30% of the bag I wanted there. But that was the stone bottom from last week. I mean, we ripped off the lows there, probably up like over 100%. Yeah, solid 120% move. But yeah, this is a structure that should probably provide some resistance. Should probably take some profits here, honestly. I'm torn because it's like a spot trade, and I know I want to hold it for the long run, but daily fair value gap there. That's what we're currently rejecting off of. I don't know, I'll buy more. I'll buy more down here for sure. This whole leg is gonna end up being a a decent little demand zone, I think. And you never know with these things; they can sometimes just rip straight through. But I think much more likely it comes back off that level first. Maybe not fully into the zone, but something like that before going higher. It's a pretty big move. I am short a couple of coins now, just as like a hedge. I mean, pretty good spot to be hedging when you've got alts just really ripping, and ETH at some pretty high time frame resistance levels. I have a lot of exposure, so yeah, I shorted Solana, which is probably suicide. But yeah, I mean, the 1 hour chart looks pretty. Sorry, I got these alerts messing everything up. Doesn't hide the alerts. I love that. Yeah, the 1 hour chart looks it's uncannily like Wyckoff right now. Well, maybe I can find a picture of it for you guys. Found one. Where is this thing? Ah, there we go. Why can I not copy and paste? Oh, I'm hiding everything like a moron. There it is. Got like 30 of them in here probably. So I think this is an interesting question to be asking ourselves. Let me just delete these alerts, I guess. Nobody ever thinks they're in distribution. Everybody always wants to believe it's going to go higher. That's why everybody gets wrecked. Never feels easy to get out. But I mean, this looks pretty uncanny to me at the moment. There's your preliminary supply. There's your buying climax. There's your automatic rally. There's your secondary test. Could be a sign of weakness because you're running this structural low. But then you get the trap, right? You get the up thrust, which in spite of the run of the low, bait shorts provide some additional liquidity, because everybody puts their stop above this high, and then the big players are able to push price up. These buy stops, fill the sell orders up here, and then you could say this is your last point of supply. So that's kind of where my head is at right now. I'm thinking, okay, is that is it, not saying this is going to go to zero or anything, but you know, it's had quite the run. The tricky thing about Wyckoff is that you've conveniently got, I think there's like two different schematics. Like there's a scenario here where you get you don't just get an up thrust, but you also get an up thrust after distribution. So like you can see, this schematic actually has another run above that high, so you can see this push back into the 70s. So even if you think this is a Wyckoff, you might still get another run and get wrecked here. It's really hard to time tops, but yeah, I'm kind of thinking that right now, and it kind of makes sense to me that we might cool off here. I told you guys, it's just a gigantic monthly imbalance here. So I could see us coming back and, you know, testing some of these levels, mid 40s or so. Looks pretty good. I don't know if these fibs work on Solana, to be honest, so this is mostly a meme, but yeah, give you a final target, 35.8. I don't know, I can see it. I can see it. I feel like at a minimum, you gotta think like this whole zone here might get retested. Still a pretty good move. It's like 30% down to run this low here, which is just begging. It's just begging for it. So yeah, with that as the context, and again, I was just looking to take some exposure off the market in general. Popped onto the 12-hour here. You got your 12-hour gap, and then some people probably saying this is a double bottom. Then we go higher, maybe they're right, and then I get wrecked. But I was looking for a sign that these equal lows might sort of become a you know, a draw on liquidity for a move lower. And I basically was like, okay, well, I feel like if I want to get short, I'm gonna do it in this leg somewhere. So again, I basically saw on the higher time frame, you get 12-hour gap here, you get the 0.618 to 0.79 on your OTE. This is sort of the zone you want to be short in, because it provides a good risk reward, right? Like if I get filled here in the middle of this and my stop's above the high, you know, and I just aim for these lows, that's a 2-to-1 risk reward, right? So I can be wrong here 2/3 of the time and still break even, right? The goal isn't to be correct every time, it's to make a bunch of plus EV bets. In reality, I think this is even more plus EV, because I think there could just be like a larger correction that happens. Like if you catch like a 30% wave, now that's like, you know, 5 or 6 to 1. You leave a runner on, you're looking pretty good there. So see a similar setup to what we talked about on DYDX, but in reverse. Now I did just take some limit orders up in here just because I wasn't at the desk, so I sort of passively filled some limit orders in this zone the other day. But then we have a what did we talk about before? We have a so where did this move come from is sort of the question we want to be asking ourselves first, right? So this is the leg, right? So we're trading within this particular dealing range, or whatever you want to call it. We're trying to get an entry on a retrace in this range and then like take out this low, this equal low. So the question is like, where did this move come from? And the move came from, you know, this up here. This is your upswing before we just go down only and basically break everything to the downside there. I'll change the color on that so you can see it. So similar setup because you have a potential period of accumulation here. Change the color of that, right? And where is that? It's right below a high time frame point of interest. And then what happens? You get this, what I think is a manipulation leg up into that zone. You could take an aggressive entry there, or kind of waiting for a retrace, because as we said, these sort of these sharp moves up and down, these are basically wicks on a different time frame. These wicks tend to be retested and price, as you can see, retesting the wick there. So I wasn't at my desk, so I just put some limit orders up. I basically laddered some limit orders up on this wick. And this whole thing is wrong, above this 62 high or whatever. And again, I want to stress that I'm hedging. Like, my whole portfolio is very net long still. So even if I get yoinked on this trade, it sucks because I lost money on the trade, but like my overall portfolio is still going to be up like a lot more money than if we dump. Like, if we dump, I'm going to feel happy, like psychologically, that I made money on this trade, but I'll actually be a lot poorer. So yeah, that's sort of my logic on Solana at the moment. Like I said, I think you can make the case that we might even if this is just not bullish, like we still could yoink up like that and down. So I'll probably take some off, this zone here just in case, and then trail stops so I don't get wrecked and give back all my profit. And yeah, if we just rip up from here, I mean, God bless the manlets. You're doing well, and I did not do well on this trade, but it is what it is. We win some, we lose some, The other coin I am currently short is Matic. I mean, the Matic chart just looks freaking terrible. Depending on how zoomed in you are, if you zoom out far enough, I think you can make the case it looks okay. But yeah, just big leg up into this supply. I think on the weekly, we actually did close above this level. So Again, I don't think this is going to zero. I just think we're gonna target that zone, and that zone is a nice trade. That's a nice trade. Like you are, 20% move. 20% move is a nice move, and I think you could possibly just run all these lows into this demand here, back into the mid 50s, and you're looking at like a 30% move. So yeah, the thing that I don't like is that you did have a reset on the daily RSI. So if you're just using like kind of 80 IQ trend following strats where you just long coins that are going up and keep longing them, which is not that bad of a strat, like waiting for the daily or the 4-hour RSI to reset and then just long kicking in actually works quite a bit. Not really something I do, but so that makes me a little hesitant on this trade. But in reality, like if I look at the structure, the structure looks horrible. We're bouncing from this demand currently, but I frame this trade mostly around the daily. So you see here on the daily, we had this candle here, right? Huge move down, close below, breaks all of this structure, right? Obviously bearish. You don't need a degree in lines to know that. But yeah, obviously bearish. We're not trying to get in right here. We're looking for some sort of retracements and then to ride the rest of the leg down. What I saw was that move left behind a daily fair value gap, right? So I'm thinking, okay, it's very likely that price, just bounces off of here and then continues somewhere lower. So that's sort of my bias and the way I'm framing it on the daily. And then the lower time frame, again, this is the same freaking setup. So within this zone here, right? So keep in mind, this is your daily fair value gap. On the 1-hour chart, you have this little order block here, and this is basically the last point of a supply before this really powerful leg came down, right? So what I did was I said, oh look, there's this sideways movement. This is possible accumulation right below two nested high time frame levels. And what do I want to see? I want to see like a move up. And again, like if you're sitting at the desk, you can wait for the move up and then some sort of confirmation, right? Because it is always possible that the move up can just keep on moving, and then your limit order gets liquidated if you put your stops above, obviously. But I had a pretty good hunch that we would do a similar thing where we sort of accumulated, manipulate up into the level, and then break down. So I put some limit orders, up here in the zone, and those were filled while I was sleeping. Again, not a big position size. I don't like max put on position size via limit orders because it's just not a good idea. If I'm not at the desk, these things can move pretty badly. But I think this is playing out now. Oh, the other thing that's nice about these trades, you can frame them. You could frame them around the daily open, which is Asia, I believe, which is useful for the coins. Ethereum, by the way, you know, one of the things that was concerning me about Ethereum this morning that I forgot to mention is that, you know, on futures, you very often see, you know, manipulation above the open and then expansion down when you have a bearish day. This is the CME open right here, right? So we just basically had a move up. So if we get a break below here, like that would concern me, because I would say, okay, manipulation above the open, manipulation above this high. That's a pretty good short setup. But on ETH, like, nothing has closed as anything other than a sweep so far. No closure below that low, but I don't know. Looks sketch. So if we get like kind of like an impulsive move down and then something back up into this gap, like that would be a pretty good short entry. But Matic doesn't care. Matic is you know, has broken this low. I think there's a good chance we catch some sort of bid off these levels and retrace and then go lower. So I might be looking to add up in here and then just, you know, keep, you know, stop above the zone up here somewhere. I think it's a pretty good setup. Yeah, because I don't want to be 100% balls long at all times during the bull market because of how much exposure I have. So yeah, looking for spots like these on weak alts to, you know, potentially hedge out and, you know, hopefully use the profits from those trades to either buy more ETH or to DCA into some shorts, to some alts that are beat down. It's a bunch of stuff I really want that I haven't been able to buy yet. Immutable X is one of those things. Just keep watching it go higher without me. Pain. But it is what it is. We don't buy resistance. We respect the pump and we wait. AVAX looks so juicy still, my god. I don't know what's going on over there in AVAX land, but got a lot of blue skies up above. A lot of blue skies up above. I mean, this is really your nasty supply zone here. That's a long ways up. 300% or so to the middle of it, so it's a pretty good move. I should probably be looking for entries on this stupid thing. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe something in that zone. Maybe something around 17 bucks or so. I don't know. I think I set some alerts on it to monitor if we get that move. Decent spot for a pullback, we'll see. Anyway, we're at right about an hour right now. I'm so bad at doing short videos. Hope you guys enjoyed the update. I hope if you own Solana and Matic that I am wrong. I very well might be. I'm wrong a lot, but still want to throw the ideas and the process out there for your guys, because even if I'm wrong, there's maybe a teachable moment in there somewhere. But yeah, I'm gonna be pretty closely monitoring Ethereum for the rest of the day. Probably set a little alert here. Let's do it on a 15-minute close. Oh, all right, cool. So I'm going to go and try to enjoy my day and wait for my phone to go off with my TradingView alerts. And then we'll take it from there. Hope you guys had a great Thanksgiving. Hope you get some good Black Friday shopping done today. I will try to be back Monday with another update for you. We'll see what happens this weekend. Until then, have a good one, guys.